Hey everyone, today's going to be a fun podcast for me because I have a dear friend of mine. Her name is Lia Sargent, and she's an actress, a voiceover artist, and yeah, she teaches as well. But I've known Lia for a while now, and we met in Hollywood because I was living in Hollywood for a while, and so was she. So we lived really close to each other, and we used to go hiking. There's some great places in Hollywood to hike. And a mutual friend of ours introduced us and said, "You got to go hiking with Lia. She's really great. She lives in that area." So that's how we met. And I've since come to think of her as a really good friend. She gives great advice. And we've talked for hours on the phone about many interesting subjects, some of which we might talk about today. So I'm looking forward to having a chat with my friend Lia Sargent.
Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra.
Well, this is very exciting because today I have a dear friend of mine, Miss Lia Sargente. I always call her Sargente because that's sort of the Italian way I'm thinking, but I'm not really sure. But you said I do say it kind of right, right?
Yes, that's the original name, but
Yeah.
my father changed it for the industry. So yeah,
Oh,
it's Sorgente, it's S-O-R.
Sorgente,
Yeah.
Sorgente. So, okay, so I didn't know that your dad originally he went by Sorgente, right?
Yeah, his full name was Giuseppe Daniele Sorgente. That was his name, and he changed it to Joseph.
Sargent, Joe Sargent.
He went Joe and then Joseph, back to Joseph. You know
Oh.
what I mean? Like, I'm not sure which order, but he did both.
So, in case people don't know what we're talking about, Leah's father was a very successful film and TV director, right? Film and TV. And I remember I saw him honored at the Emmys. Was it the Emmys a few years ago in the memoriam or
Yes.
memorandum or
It
whatever they
was
call it?
it was the Emmys. Yeah, he should have been both because he's done, film too, not just
Mhm.
television. So, but they missed the boat on that one.
I know it happens a lot. I've noticed on those particular things because sometimes they get them and sometimes they don't. And so sometimes it's kind of a last minute thing. They make changes at the last minute.
Yeah.
So your father was in the industry. So let's just back up a little bit. How I met Leah was a dear friend of ours, told me, well, I was living in the Hollywood Hills at the time, and so was Leah, right? And she's like, "You got to meet my friend Leah. She drives a Mini Cooper too." I just remember.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Really, we're proud of our Mini Coopers.
I know, we're in the club that no one really cares about. You know what I mean? I have another friend who's in the Mini Cooper Club too. Her name's Natalie, and she, I had two in a row. I think you had two in a row, right?
I had two in a row also. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I do love that car. I certainly got a lot more. Well, you got a Mini Cooper, kind of a thing when I had. Now I have this electric car that everyone's like, you know what I mean? But
Everybody got electric now.
I know it's like nobody goes, "Oh, that's such a cute car," right?
Yeah.
But I will eventually maybe go back to the Mini Cooper because I do like them. They're fun to drive, but I know, they can be a little bit of high maintenance too, right?
Yeah, and I had problems when I moved up to Northern California because the mechanics at that time
Oh,
were,
yes, I remember that.
yeah, clueless about Mini Coopers. And so they ruined it, unfortunately. So
Shout
that
out to Vanek the mechanic. Remember Vanek in the Valley?
right. That's right. He saved my little Mini Cooper for quite a while there. So yeah.
I know, Vanek. So anyway, we were hiking together, becoming friends in Hollywood, and I discovered that Leah was not only an actress but a voiceover artist. But getting further back, your mom and dad were both actors. Your dad was an actor too, right?
Yes, he was a very good one. And he kind of kept that on the DL because he wanted to be a director so badly, but he really was very good. There's like a Gunsmoke where he's just fabulous,
Really?
Yeah, I have the link to it. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it. I'll have to show it to you sometime
Yeah.
or send it to you because he's really good. And we just all went, this is after he died. We went, what the hell? Why did he keep this from us? But he just wanted to be a director, although he put himself in his movies.
That's interesting because I always, I like working with actors that are when directors that are actors because they kind of understand the process.
Well, he was an actor's director for sure.
Mhm, mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, so okay, when you were born, they were already, your mom and dad, they met while they were acting. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, I think they met at the Actors Studio, if I'm not mistaken, in New York. And of course, if my sister watches this, she might be correcting me left, right, and center. But I'm pretty sure it was the Actors Studio in New York. And
Uh,
then they went off to various, they would go off to like the Catskills and they would have groups and theater camp and things like that. And they did all that too.
they
Yeah,
were they
they
were
met on the East Coast,
they were deep in it, you know?
deep in it. But my mom was born in Hollywood.
Oh, she was. So your mom was born in Hollywood, and I know that she was of Greek descent, right?
Yes,
And she came from a big Greek family, right?
yes. They migrated from Greece to Texas to Mexico, and my grandmother was born in Mexico. Her mother was born in Mexico, and then she came up to Hollywood and was an animator for the studios. She
Your
was
grandmother was an
my
animator?
grandmother was an animator. Yeah, she used to ink.
Oh.
She used to do the ink drawings, fill in for the cells, the animation cells,
Mhm.
for MGM, Hanna-Barbera, various other studios and stuff like that. And so, yeah, and so were her brothers, my grandmother's brothers. So my mother's uncles were all in the industry. So I'm third generation in the industry, basically.
Wow, that's so neat.
Yeah.
They must have been super talented though, because for immigrants to get into that kind of business seems kind of, usually they go for something a little bit more, what's the word, reliable, like some kind of,
Like almost local.
yeah, or like, traditional is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
must have been very talented to get into that business.
Very,
You know?
very. My uncle, one of the uncles was an actual animation artist. He was a
Okay.
cartoonist and he was phenomenal and so funny and fun and wonderful. And then the other one was an editor, and he's an Emmy award-winning editor, and he worked on a lot of my dad's movies. So he was film and television editor. And then the other one was an assistant director who worked with like Frank Capra and
Wow.
Alfred Hitchcock, and so he went way back to some serious talent, that he was having to wrangle,
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
yeah, very talented at that. So they all have their special talent.
Yeah, even though your parents were actors, how did they feel about you becoming an actress?
That's a really good question, Kimbra, because dang it, I think they might have been even frustrated a little bit because they saw that I was at very young age, at 10, I would say safely, that I was serious and I really knew what I wanted to do as far as be a triple threat at that time.
Because you were dancing too, right?
Dancing, singing, and acting, but my singing at that time, my voice was not a strong voice. I did not have, well, they didn't, my mom and dad didn't believe in training before 18 years old.
Oh, well, that's,
So I
kind of,
know.
I mean, I don't know about training, but I would agree with maybe not pushing you until you're 18, but I don't know about the training part. I would think,
I know.
you know,
I
as
know
a,
I could use some serious singing classes. But anyway, so I think they were worried because then it would be that struggling thing, and they tried to save me. That time parents were either ridiculously strict, or they tried to save you all the time and pamper the heck out of you. And I got the latter.
I know we've talked about that before, like how both of our parents, well, at least our fathers were very critical, right? And
Yeah, my mom was too. I came from a critical family. And my grandmother was too. I mean, all were critical.
well, Greeks and Italians,
Oh
they're
my
like that.
God, so critical. You're right, exactly. And so it made it difficult, but at the same time, they really were, particularly my father, tried to steer me away. He's thinking, oh, I'll just be a director. That's much more stability, actors and the competition and the heartache and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And so, yeah, so they weren't happy about it. And then they just realized, okay, she's serious. So then he started giving me work. My mother and I worked together at occasion. She taught me, she directed me, things like that. At
Yeah,
theater.
I know your mom taught at Stella Adler. Was that when you were younger or when you were like more like in your 20s or so?
No, actually, my mom and dad took from Stella Adler at the same time. That was way back when Marlon Brando's years were there.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And then later on, when people were trying to get to Stella Adler for classes, East Coast, West Coast, um, if whichever coast she wasn't on, she would recommend my mother as a teacher because
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. You told me that.
my mom started teaching at various places or whatever, but one of the places she taught at was Desilu Studios.
Really?
Yeah,
On the lot?
Yeah, on the lot.
That's
And
so
I
cool.
remember going and watching her teach classes there when I was too young to take the class, you know. Um, and then finally, when I was old enough to take her class, it was at USC when she taught there. And I have a different name than she does. She's Mary Carver. I'm Lia Sargent, and
Right.
nobody knew that I was her daughter because of the way we related to each other. You know, I never said mom or
Mom,
yeah, I never said mom or Mary. I just didn't call her. I didn't call her
you're like
anything.
Miss
Yeah.
Grover. No.
Yes. Hi, can I ask you a question? But had a great time, and we fooled everybody until the last class, and then we told everybody that I was, and they were really amazed by that. So so then what happened was okay, you asked me a question about
Your mom was teaching, and then you studied with your mom, and then they weren't encouraging at first, but then they just kind of gave in and said they started helping you, right?
yes.
Dad started helping
So,
you.
so my father put me in the movies, and my mother directed me in shows of the when she had her classes, she would put on shows at the
Oh.
end of some of the a year or two of the
Mhm, mhm.
classes, those actors, that group of actors, and I was in a couple of her shows. So
Oh, how was it working? Who was harder on you, like directing wise? Was it your mom or your dad?
no, I loved working with my mom. My dad was fine. You know what it was? He was so anti um,
Nepotism thing?
nepotism that
Yeah.
he became uncomfortable. So what he did was he barely paid me any attention at all. And I
Oh,
felt
yeah, that actress over there. Yeah, uh-huh.
yeah, and you know what I mean? He didn't help me particularly, like give me something more or do some all he did was throw props into my hands. He knew I could handle props. You know,
Wow.
they always work, right?
Did your sister, did she act as well? I don't remember.
No, the last time I see her acting in any way, shape, or form was when she was in high school, 12th year graduating class. She played in Mad Women of Chaillot, and she got on the stage, and she was the only one that was heard and articulated brilliantly because she is a grammarian. Um, and I mean, really, and a booming voice. She got the voice I didn't get, so I had to work at my voice. But she couldn't wait to get off the stage, and that was her subtext the whole time as an actor. She's just like, I'm going to say my lines, and I'm going to be, and I'm going to bring my point, and I'm going to get off because she just couldn't stand. She doesn't like attention like that at all.
Oh, yeah, your sister. I don't think I've ever actually met your sister, but I've heard so much about her that I feel like I know her,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I don't think you have. You're right. You're
But
right.
I've been in her vicinity a few times, but not actually met her because we were in
Right.
groups.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I know at some point your dad, or maybe it was early on, he wanted you to direct, but you kind of rebelled against that, right?
Yeah. Well, I saw what he had, these responsibilities, and I
Mhm.
felt like I couldn't handle the stress of all that. But oddly enough, then I went into directing anime. And he came to see me, and he couldn't have been more proud, of course, and then I directed shows, and he saw those, and um so I think he realized I have the same similar talent as the two of them. My mom directed, obviously, so direct, act,
Yeah, you do
live-
it all. Um,
yeah.
so I know we talked a little bit about this before, but your dad originally wanted to put you in one of these loop groups, and I wanted to bring up the fact about these loop groups, that how competitive it is. And do you think act, because there's that old stereotype that voiceover work is more competitive than, on camera acting. Do you think it is? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, and I wonder, to tell you the truth, I just started thinking this now when you were just asking that, because I wonder if part of that comes from the fact that because a voice actor
Hmm.
can play multiple roles,
Mm,
they don't have to look the part,
true.
then they're more capable. The competition out there is like, well, she meet me out of the part because she's physically right, and,
Hmm.
and you can't do anything about that.
Hmm.
Um, so they went with fatter, they went with older, or they went with whatever.
Sure, sure.
So I think that might be part of it, that it's almost like I can do every voice, is probably what's kind of seated underneath every voice actor, in the sense of like I want to do it all. And they do a lot,
Which
right?
brings up a good point, because I have a lot of friends that have really good tone, in their voice when their speaking voice, and people always tell them, oh, you should be voiceover actors and or voice artists. And I'm always thinking, gosh, there's so much more to it than just having a nice sounding voice. It's really hard. Like the few times that I've done the Netflix things where you have to match, the character that's already in the film, you have to match them. It's
Yeah.
really hard because it's the timing. You have
Mhm.
to act, you have to get the tone right. Sometimes you're doing physical stuff,
Right.
and it's a lot harder than people think. It's not just like having a nice sounding voice, right?
Yeah.
So
And to have a nice sounding voice, and they tend to only have that voice, which can make them buku bucks.
sure.
They can be set into a particular genre, medium or
Yeah.
genre, I guess, genre
Mhm.
that that's what they do. And that competition is only because of that group of people. So 10 guys could have this beautiful, baritone voice, and
Mhm.
they do this narration or whatever it might be, and they're competing with each other in that, and that's it.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I'm assuming that's tougher on them because then they can't bounce back to something else. They only have that. So,
Mhm.
but then there's the guy, the people we know, celebrities who have a very specific voice, but they narrate all the time, or
Sure.
they're in cartoons or whatever they're doing.
Yeah. My mom used to always say, like, that's not fair for all, the working actor.
The celebrities.
Who said life is fair? Anyway, so yeah, originally though, your dad wanted to put you in this loop group, when you first started out, and you said that you had some, what's the word? You had some resistance from one of the people that manages the loop group, and they can be very controlling, right?
Yeah, it can. Controlling, competitive, so it all kind of goes together, I guess. But there's a particular loop group coordinator who is really well known in the loop group world because she monopolized a lot of shows, and still does them. I mean, she's out there just cranking them out, and she has a stable of actors, and they're great. And there they are. They do all this work, and then when she starts pulling other actors in for specific language or what have you, um, I think that what she used to do, not sure she still does it, but she wanted to just keep them for herself so that when she called them, they were ready for her and nobody else. So they tended not to work with any other loop groups. So consequently, too, she wants to be able to pick the ones that she wants, and she wants to be in control of everything. And it got a little crazy. It
So
gets
sorry, I was going to say, for people who don't know what a loop group is, it's just like a group of people that go in for specific shows, or what does the loop group do exactly?
okay. Loop group is basically what would be considered background voices. And the loop group is, let's just say you have 3 women and 3 men.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all handling, and you're in a cafe, and
Mm-hmm.
key lead actors, maybe there's 2 of them, and they're talking in a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the background characters, actors that are playing background, they have to just pantomime. So they're just speaking without any voice, so that the audio is only for the leads and
Mm-hmm.
principals. So then back post-production, they go into the studio and they add those voices in with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and adding those voices in can be usually as a multitude of the women and the men, if that's the scenario, if that's the scene. And usually that's just chitter chatter. It could be about anything. Usually it's like, where's the location? Let's say it's in Idaho versus Los Angeles. So the Idaho people might be saying something different than if it's the farmers or whatever, might be talking differently than the Los Angeles. So you have to stay true to the environment that you're in. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
at a police station or a fire station, or you're in a library, or you're in I don't know, a NASA, space station. What do they say? It could be absolutely anywhere. You could be at a convention for Star Trek stuff, and you have to know all that spacey stuff that people love to talk about. And,
True.
you know,
The dialogue, the verbiage has to be
yeah,
correct, or
yeah,
at least sound like you know what you're talking about.
yeah, definitely. It can't just be strawberry, 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 raspberry, raspberry.
I
I
remember the
think
first time I heard one of your demos back in the day when I was in Hollywood. You were doing like a little boy, 7-year-old boy, and I was like, "Wow, Leah's so talented!"
that's sweet. I
But,
do enjoy it. I enjoy doing the voices of the kids. I always mimic them when I'm hearing them out there in public. I
yeah,
don't I don't do it at them because I don't want them to think I'm making fun of them.
yeah, that's
Kind
true.
of do it off to the side, like I heard it, and then I kind of do it off to the side because I
That's a
want
good
to.
idea. I work with kids sometimes too. I should start picking up on their voices,
Yeah, yeah.
It's a specific thing. Okay, so I want to find out though, how did you get into the anime thing and what characters have you voiced, in total? Like, how many has there been?
Oh,
Different,
well,
a lot.
yeah. You can Google me and find out.
But
No,
like, are there two or three that you're really known for?
no, you know what? This will give you an idea, and then I can totally give you the ones I'm known for. So
Sure.
this is a banner that I put up at the conventions, and those are all my characters.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one before.
I
That's
shouldn't
really
say all, I should say most of my characters. Okay, that's for anime. Some of those are games. Some of them are video games. Some of they're not all, animation. Anime story, whatever. Some of them are games.
Mhm.
But okay, how it would happen? It was really basic and fell in my lap. I was very lucky. I went to. Okay, as far as voice work was one thing, my father put me behind the microphone when I was about 14, 15 years old,
Mhm.
maybe a little older, and he needed an Irish accent on this girl that was filmed when they were down in Mexico. And back in Los Angeles in the post-production, she needed to be revoiced. And it was one or two lines. It was nothing. It was not a big deal. And so because of her quality of voice, my father thought I could match it, and I did. And then I just did an Irish accent. He knew I could do that because I always dabbled when I was young. I was always playing around with characters. And
you like those Irish men, I know that.
and I like those things. I do, and I still do.
I have a taste for the Irishmen.
Oh, I love them. So anyway, so that gave me a little bit of a taste of post-production voice. It was not a big deal. I didn't think, oh my God. And then of course he wanted me. No, at that time, maybe he did. Maybe he did say at that time to start doing your own loop group. To tell you the truth, I don't know what came first. But when I was in my 20s, mid-20s, I went back to college. I had gone to USC for a year, but that didn't work
Oh,
for
I
me.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I went to Canada for 3.5, 4 years and studied there as well and taught there. I taught at the university there when I was like 20. I mean, it was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, them's were the times that they did.
Those were the days.
Yeah. So, okay, so I was in the boyfriend I was with was a masterful voice actor. I mean, really, he was
In Canada or here?
here.
Okay.
He's
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, he was after I was married. I was married to a Canadian for 9 years.
Hmm.
When I separated from him, I met this guy named Hank, and he's
We
adorable.
talked about Hank. I've heard about Hank.
He's adorable, and he's so talented. His vocal ability is beyond.
Wow.
Yeah, because he can do technical sounds too. He doesn't just do human voices. He does.
Hmm.
He can
Like
imitate.
Foley. He's like a human Foley artist.
Yeah, exactly. He can imitate a cash register.
Oh my
like
gosh, that's great.
to the T, and birds, and just lovely. So anyway, we were hanging out, and with his voice ability and my dabbling, I never thought of myself very seriously doing. I was more into acting, seriously.
I want to be in front of the camera.
Yes, or on stage, always on stage, got to be on
Right.
stage.
Right.
So he said, let's go back to LA Valley College and take a radio broadcasting class and a musical theater class, because he was musical theater also. And that's really what I
I know LA Valley College. I took a lot of music courses there.
They're really good, aren't they?
It's underrated. I would say it's underrated.
Yeah. Did you have a Tarian by chance? Georgia Tarian?
No, I had a Doctor Who. She was very strict.
That sounds familiar.
And Dr. Nova, Christian Nova, he's great. I love Dr. Nova. Yeah, I took a lot of music theory classes, which were torturous for me,
Yeah.
So anyway, so you went to Valley College, and you
went to Valley College and the musical theater department, but then also this radio broadcasting, only because I went, sure, I'd like to be a DJ. I mean, I just didn't even really give it much thought. And Hank wanted to be a DJ. He had the voice for it. He could totally do that. And music, he was a musician. He was a singer. He's just fabulous. So, we were in the radio broadcasting class. She gave us copy to read and try things and do things and commercials and various other things like that. And I had a gift to be able to pick up copy easily and read it right away. I did not have to study really hard. I think it was all the theater training that I learned from my mom and various other places I went. Um, so she came up to me after a class and she said, I think you'd be really good for dubbing Jackie Chan movies with my friend.
Oh, I didn't know you worked on Jackie Chan movies. I have my good friend of mine, his is dialogue coach, Jackie. Her name is Diana Wang.
Dialogue coach for Jackie?
Well, she like he speaks English, but like she helps him with words that maybe he doesn't understand and stuff like that. She speaks Mandarin and English, so she's been his dialogue coach forever. And I actually worked on a commercial for him uh, through her because she couldn't do it, so I helped him on this commercial.
What is
And
her name again?
Diana Wang, Weng. Her sister Jude is now becoming a very successful director. She's doing all these, sitcom shows. So, yeah, she's got an interesting family. They're all, in the industry now. So anyway, you worked on a Jackie Chan film.
Yeah, so I did. And what happened was I went from one to the next to the next. So I did a handful of Jackie Chan's,
Mhm.
and then those people were asked by the anime people that they said we're looking for somebody to dub some anime with a high voice. And they
Mhm.
said I got the person. So I walked into the booth at the anime studio called Zero Limit. And it was kind of like a work and an audition at the same time because they needed it done. And it became second nature to me. It really was it was not it was an easy transition for me. I don't know. I felt in my element,
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
it was one of those interesting things. You either have it or you don't, or you have to work really hard to get it if you don't have it. And I just lucked out with something I would have never thought in a million years I would ever do.
Hmm. Hmm.
No way,
And
I
so
was.
that evolved into the anime. So,
Yeah, so and that was it. The anime people asked the Jackie Chan people for a voice with a
ah,
high voice. And I did a handful of very, very high voices that I would not want to do now. They're just too high and squeaky and
I work really hard with my singing voice for it not to get lower. So I do a lot of vocal exercises, and I've managed to maintain the higher register.
yeah.
I don't know about so much with my speaking, but definitely with singing.
No, and I too, I can do the voices still.
Hmm.
Although I played Tachikoma in Ghost in the Shell, and that's a robot. And all of the other actresses, there's a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
robots, and all the other actresses that played the other robots, they're all high to begin with. They were all very, very high. That's their speaking voices. That's who they are. Those are the characters that they play. They're capable of others, but that's the key play characters that they play. I think I'm the lowest one in that whole group. I've never been lower than anybody because most of the stuff back then too was all my little high characters most of the time. Chun-Li wasn't high.
Yeah,
Chun-Li.
Chun Li. I remember that name. That's the name. That's one
Yeah.
of the characters you're most well known for, right?
Yeah, you were going to ask me. Okay, so Judy from Cowboy Bebop, which is current. Millie from Trigun, which is current, and those you can see on Hulu, I believe. Or you can find them on YouTube. You can find episodes on YouTube and stuff. And then there's a movie called Perfect Blue, and I played in that, but I also directed it. And then there's one called The Big O, and I played Dorothy the android.
The Big O. I like it.
So I think I might be forgetting other key ones that everyone knows about. Oh, Shion is from Xenosaga, which is a game. And also Dot Hack is another game, and that's Aura. I play the part of Aura. I actually play another character in Dot Hack, but most people know me as Aura, So
So you're still actively doing anime voices? I mean, you get called to do them?
well, I have just recently been called, yeah, to maybe help out with a musician on their album. So,
Hmm.
and that's on the DL.
Right, we are not, who shall remain nameless.
Yes, yes. We'll see if that comes
Yeah,
about.
right.
And then I'm opening up the door for that possibility. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. And I
Yeah.
know even in Hollywood, you were coaching when we would go for our hikes. You were coaching and doing
Yeah.
lessons, right?
Yeah. I've
And
been teaching for quite some time actually, way before COVID on Skype. When
wow,
people
who
use
remember
Skype.
Skype?
I know. What happened to Skype?
I know. Yeah, and you're doing it periodically now, like with the three.
Yeah, I had been, and I had quite a group of different actors, and some of them successful in getting demos together, and they're even on my website. You can hear them where they had nothing before. Um, and then I still get sometimes I get a call from somebody if they're auditioning for something, I might help them out. Um, but I'm finding that the Zoom teaching is just not for me. I'm very physical and
Yeah,
connecting and
we talked about that. Yeah,
body and voice and mind as opposed to just from here up.
yeah.
And
I'm not a box, you know.
yeah, it is so hard. It's so hard for me. So I also there, you know what it is too? It's the delay. I can't
Right.
actually teach them stuff because sometimes there's a delay in the on Zoom.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Supposedly, there's a new thing on Zoom. I haven't tested out yet. That's because I do rehearsals sometimes for music through Zoom, and I've been told there's a new aspect of it that cuts out the delay.
oh, you
So
mean they've created it or you have to get it or
I
where?
think it's already there, but I just haven't on the settings. Maybe I have
Oh,
to talk to the person that told me about it. So just
mhm.
because we did a rehearsal recently, it went pretty well. I still prefer, in person, of course, but like in cases like this, where I know you spent a lot of time in Northern California,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I was going to ask you, by the way, before I forget, I know there's a thriving music scene up there you've told me about. You said there's some great musicians, right?
Great musicians. They're really special. They're very lax and and not it's a different scene than
Right.
down in Los Angeles or New York or Nashville or I would imagine maybe not. I haven't been to Nashville.
Austin, maybe
You've
Austin.
been Austin maybe and but you've been to Nashville, correct?
Yes.
And so how would you compare Nashville with Los Angeles?
Hmm. Well, Nashville is it's like a little mini New York for music, because it's all condensed, right? Los
Yeah,
Angeles, as you know, is so spread out that,
right.
and, because of costs and things, a lot of people move to Nashville and other states, right? Um, I think there's a movement to try to get the live music scene up and better in Los Angeles than it has been. And I just did a show the other night at the Tuning Fork. I think I told you about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're trying to do the singer songwriter thing. We're trying to get it going. But Nashville, it's booming, and there's like all different kinds of music going on there, but mostly, pop, country, a lot of rock, though. I was surprised there's a lot of rock. It's nice. I did like it a lot because you're surrounded by just music 24. Like there's a part of Nashville. I think it's called Lower Broadway or something, but where you could just walk down like different, building stores, not stores, but clubs, and people are just playing, 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 right? Probably how it was in LA. I don't know, in the 80s or something. I'm thinking, when they had all those clubs, the club scene was so happening in the 90s too, right?
Right.
Um, but I mean, I still love LA, and it's a different feeling because it's so spread out. But I know there's this big movement where they're trying to get work back in town because of, like even acting and filming has moved out of LA. So now they're really doing this big push to
Yeah.
for tax credits and stuff, especially
Yeah.
post the fires. So they're really trying to really, get it going again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I've been getting the letters from the president and various.
The president of the United
Not,
States or the
no,
president of
president of SAG. Sorry, Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA.
I can't imagine our
Yes,
president like
I
we got
would
to get that
never
acting
take, I
back
would
in
never
LA.
accept a letter from that person.
I can't imagine, you getting a letter from Donald Trump going, we really, really want to get because he loves California so much. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, so yeah, that's great. I really wanted to talk to you about the music scene because you've been sending me these little videos, and it kind of reminds me of like Oh Hi, or something like that.
Be
Little.
that. It's definitely beat Nikki hippie kind of
Mhm.
down to earth. I don't know where their training comes from, or they're just all self-taught. Who the hell, or most, whatever it is. But I have found that more often than not, the sound of the music, wherever I go, I could go into a pub, a beer pub, a pub, a blues bar, the place I showed you was a coffee shop, the farmers market. They have incredible bands and diverse music. We're talking. That's why I was wondering. I always think people probably only think I can't be the only one who thinks of Nashville as country. And there's got to be other stuff going on there
Well,
besides.
and the thing is, country now is it's really getting diverse within country. Like,
Yeah.
Beyonce and everybody else doing a country album. But even
Right.
before that, it was getting like more pop, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find true old-fashioned,
Well,
traditional
can,
country.
can you go walk around Nashville or walk into a jazz club, blues club?
Blues for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's jazz somewhere, but I didn't go when I was
Yeah.
there. I
You
didn't really
didn't get
see
the
any good
feeling of
jazz.
it.
But there's a town called Bristol, which is, gosh, a couple hours outside of Nashville that I actually played in with an artist that I was touring with. And Bristol is a little bit more traditional country because that's where the Carter family, I believe,
Oh,
June Carter Cash and all that. They
yeah.
had a family house there and really full of history. Supposedly that's where country music was, born. Is at this town called Bristol,
Right.
and I really, I like history, so I was like really, video. I was, filming everything and stuff. So, but I really like Nashville a lot because, like, a lot of artists live there, and it's a little bit less expensive to live.
Right.
Even than Los Angeles, because like Los Angeles is so expensive. I
Right.
have like five close friends that have all moved outside of LA, to like Texas, Arizona,
Right.
where else?
They're saving hundreds and thousands of dollars a year.
Well, yeah,
Right?
with the rent and or mortgages or whatever, or they could sell their house here and then buy like a lot less expensive and the same size house kind of thing, you know.
Right. Right.
So I know it's so sad because like I have another friend who's telling me the other day she might be moving. I'm like, no, I'm losing another one.
Oh, I know,
I used to
but
have like this little group, including you,
right.
In the Hollywood Hills there.
No, it's true. I've heard about that. People moving out.
Do you,
People saying to me, Leah, you're lucky you moved out. And I'm like, I sort of saw the writing on the wall. I saw the traffic building. I saw that I was worried about fires. I wasn't like, I expected that big of a fire problem, but just the fact that I'd have to be down there if there was a fire even near me where I'd have to be part of the smoke and the ash. I didn't want that, so so I did. I kind of felt like, okay, it's not good for me anymore, but I never thought it would be such widespread of people just all going, get me out of here because there's a life down there
oh
that's
yeah,
real.
and yet it's still so crowded. I mean, where do these people? It's like as soon as people leave, no one's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah,
So,
it's true.
but there, there's a group of hardcore LA people that I have that are friends, but I do have at least five good friends that moved. But I have one that's going to move back. They all want to move back. Well, it's like the people that are still wanting to do things, like
Yeah.
like a nightlife,
Yeah. Yeah. Also quality of work.
Yeah, that's true.
I know that for me, I was like going, shoot, I can't go back there, but I really need as an actor, and of course, even just a decent studio recording space, what have you, to be able to connect with people who are in that same world that I'm in. I don't have that up here. If I were a singer,
Yeah.
I'd be in great shape.
Right?
Or even a musician of any kind. I only dabbled. So
Yeah, it's so true. Hey, before I forget, I want to talk to you about the convention work because I know you have some conventions coming up. And how did you get into that convention work? Someone sought you out?
well, yeah, this most recent was somebody sought me out. A manager sought me out. And part of the reason why they did it is because the popular show Cowboy Bebop, they tend and hope to have reunions with the whole cast.
Hmm.
And some of those players in that show are top tier voice
Mm.
actors, and they go to conventions everywhere around the world.
Hmm.
So I think that's why they contacted me, because I played Judy, just not one of the top tier. I'm liked and loved by many, but
She's
not.
beloved by many.
Yeah. So what that was most recently, that was in the past couple of years, and they got me to a few conventions, and but then prior to that, though, I had done conventions because the producers of the shows I had done when they were first being made, they were promoting them coming out. So I was asked to be, and those were big. That was like Long Beach and San Diego and There was one up in Seattle that I went to, trying to think where else. And I think Laguna has one. I don't know. Anyway, and then I moved up here, and also I just was kind of like, I don't think it's for me. And oh, that was another thing. I didn't charge for an autograph back then.
Mm.
Now we charge. And when they said you charge for autograph, I went, I don't know if I want to do that to the
That's
fans.
not ethical. No, but
I was like, when what? I just kind of learned that, they really, really enjoy spending their money on that. And I'm like, okay, I didn't grow up collecting autographs. That wasn't my thing,
yeah, I don't like. I always think to myself, why do I want someone's signature? It's like it's just going to go in the drawer somewhere, you know?
Well, I mean, I looked it up. I literally looked it up on GPT. Like,
It'll tell you everything.
yeah, I did. I don't know if they're lying, but
They're lying to you, Leah. No.
just making it up on the spot, those damn AI people. But anyway, I looked it up, and it was so interesting of the reasons really behind it.
An autograph. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I know you're doing one coming up like next week or so, right?
Yeah, I leave the 12th of May to go down to SLO SLO, as in San Luis Obispo.
Oh.
And the weekend of the 17th and the 18th, there's one at their Elks Lodge that they're doing
Of May, 17th and 18th of May.
of May.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be there for 9 days, a little bit before, prior, and afterwards, just checking out San Luis Obispo, because I liked it when I passed through there when I'm traveling from north to south,
Hello.
So, yeah.
So if anybody's in that area, you'll be there like do you say the
17th and the 18th. Yeah. It's called Ohana Comic-Con San Luis Obispo. Comic-Con, it's
Is there a website? You can give it to me later, but is there a website where people find out about these anime conventions?
Yeah, this particular group of people are they're kind of like low key. They don't big time promote. I have to promote myself for them. They put it on their website, but it's almost like you have to pull teeth. And yet also you go on their website and it's not like da 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 da,
Right. You're like, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, and you kind of little tiny type, and but I will definitely send you the link to it in case it helps. But and the flyer too. I don't know if I sent you the flyer, but I'll send you that.
No, I don't think so. But what was I going to ask you? So yeah, the convention. I know. I wanted to ask you this though too. So say somebody super wants to do voiceover work. What's the best way to like? Is it just starting to do like like taking classes and see if you even have the stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. The more experience you have that way, and the more challenged you are, is always going to be good. Demo is the most important thing. So if you are not in a position to be able to create a demo of your variety of voices or your vocal ability in any way, shape, or form, and the genre you'd like to be in, if it's not just one and the multiple genres. So you can have a commercial demo, you can have an animation demo, you can have a narration demo, audio book is another one, big time audio book.
True.
Yeah. So I think it's a matter of if one can't put together a demo right off the bat, then I believe a class is probably the best thing. And that could be private or group, because I find you learn from group classes as well, where you're really listening to other people to find out what is working and what is not working for you, or what could help you by there.
I would agree with you there. Like I knew a casting director. I still know her, a casting director at Netflix, and she hired me for something, and she wants to teach a group. And then a friend of mine, Mike Rafferty, I think it's Rafferty. I would say Rafferty. He's got a great place in Sherman Oaks, and he does demos and he teaches classes. So there's a few of them out there.
Yeah, Chuck Duran is another one. He's great.
I think I've heard that name, Chuck.
Yeah, musician, studio, but he also has been doing demos and he records commercials for people and cartoons for people and so forth.
What I love about voiceover work, and I know this is like a stupid thing to say, but it's like I love the fact that you don't have to get dressed up and wear makeup. I love that you can just go, looking like a schlub in there and do it.
Right. I don't know what it was about me, but because I guess dressing up to a degree makes
Yeah.
me feel better.
Well,
And
and
if
the
I feel
character.
better, I perform better. I don't know. I'm always fascinated by people who just do such a great job in sweats and a t-shirt. I just, it's really hard for me. I was
Well,
raised to try and look nice, you know.
I don't know if I would feel that comfortable unless it was in my home, but
Right.
I do, if I do on camera things, like we've talked about, I have to have my hair is all perfect, my makeup all,
Yes.
I don't have
Yes.
to be that perfect when I do it, the
Yes.
voiceover work, so it saves a lot of time, right?
True. True. Yes, it does.
But yeah, so, well, that's great. So I wanted to make sure that we got that about the conventions that you're doing because you need to promote. That's what this is all about, to promote,
Yeah. Yes. And 1 minute it's really difficult for me. And the next minute I have to just sort of switch gears and say, okay, Leah, just people want to know about this. Okay, get it out there. But it's
I know, because we've talked about this too, like the social media stuff. You're like, kind of like,
I can't even get that poster. Not that I don't know how. I can't get myself to put that post, the most recent flyer, on Instagram because partly the reason is one of the managers was a little reticent about my taking on these jobs, even though they're not necessarily getting me anything. Something to do with, I don't know, to be honest with you.
What do you mean taking on?
Well, so what happened is this particular job is not a manager handling me. This is my getting it myself.
I see.
And I got it myself because this company that does this particular convention came up to my neighborhood. So I had a 10-minute drive to a convention and, and I made a good chunk of money and I met some wonderful people and fans. And then they wanted me for almost all of their conventions all around California. They only handle what do you call that? Mid California. What do you call that? Central California and up to Northern California. That's all they handle. But they do all of these.
Central Valley. That's what it's called.
Central Valley. Yes. So they do that. And that's why the San Luis Obispo kind of fit into that scene. So consequently, they don't charge a lot for a ticket. So that's something you can tell the people.
It's almost free. No, it's not free, but it's very low.
Tickets are kind of expensive. And then, you pay for the autograph and you pay for that and you pay for this and you pay for that. I also have
bring cash, people. Bring cash. No, not cash. You got to you have a thing, right?
Yeah. And I want to get a QR code.
QR code. Oh, you got to. Those are easy to make,
Yeah, for Venmo, right?
Right.
So
Venmo. Yeah, I'm on Venmo. Are you on Venmo?
I am on Venmo. Can't you get a QR code for Venmo when they come up? You have a QR code.
There's a QR code on your Venmo thing. You just go boop, boop.
So I can go to Venmo and check out the QR code?
Yeah, you can check on mine. Send me cash. I always take cash. No, I'm kidding. No, I haven't actually used it that way yet, have I? I just, people pay me like if I was going to pay you something, I'd pay you. But anyway, Venmo is a great thing to have because, you don't have to carry cash. And a lot of places are becoming cashless, downtown LA.
But I have the Square, right?
Oh, yeah, the Square.
If they don't want to use their credit card, but they have Venmo, I want to have the QR code for that.
Right. I was just thinking you need to write a book because you have so much to say, like about your family history. You could put your mom's family's artwork and editor work. I just thought of that. You should write a book, at least, for yourself, if nothing else. Right.
Maybe.
I know, like on your list, because I know you're working on a screen. Well, it's a screenplay.
It was a limited series. We finished writing it and then we had a producer interested and then that producer got sick, and then we had another producer interested, and then that producer got sick, and I'm like,
people need to get healthier out there,
Yeah, and well, they're on the East Coast, on the East Coast, both of them are on the East Coast.
Wow. Yeah, but that project is you're still going to work on it.
Well, I put it on the shelf for now, just because I was focusing on the anime stuff plus audio. The friend of mine at Audible got in touch with me and had me into the Audible library or whatever you call it. The file of my file is there for them to call upon me. So we'll see.
Audible Sphere.
Yeah, Sphere, which would be totally new for me. I love.
That'd be awesome if you could get some work from that, right?
Yeah. Got a lot of friends who use Audible. I don't. Do you use Audible?
I don't, but I probably should. But it's just like one more thing that I gotta, use. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
We had this talk the other day. I was like, I'm so sick of doing everything myself. It's like now I have a producer who's helping me. He's like
I
submitting all
love it.
I know he's submitting like all the audio through the podcast play.
Well, Kimbra, this whole podcast thing is so fantastic. What? Tell me something though.
What
What
is
is
a podcast? You know?
no, but I don't know. Maybe I have an interview that was by wonderful guy, Chris. I forgot his last name right now. But anyway, he interviewed me. He's so delightful. And he's got like all these voice actors that he's interviewed, like excessive amount, not just anime, excessive amount of voice actors, like lots and lots. And I don't know the difference between what he did versus when you say podcast, because I don't think he ever called it a podcast. Is that possible? Because it's Zoom, it's interview like this, and then
It's probably a podcast, but podcasts now can be, you know, like video and just the traditional podcast, I believe, was just audio. And even like the ones I really listen to a lot, like Mark Maron, and
yes,
he for sure is just audio. I don't think he even has a YouTube channel, but now a lot of them are doing both. Like, well, this is what I'm doing, but with the podcast playground, they are just doing it for audio, which is kind of better. You know, you can drive and listen. You know,
right.
I'm still going to continue to make the YouTube videos so that people, you know, if they want to see your lovely face, you know, and so there you
and
go.
your lovely face.
And my lovely face.
See who this Kimbra is.
Yes, I know. Craig, my producer, is like, we got to put your picture on the thing because it's going to draw more people to the channel. So I was like, okay, I'll try.
Yeah,
I'll try.
this is a good thing.
Yeah. Anyways, well, listen, I'm going to let you go because I know you got things to do, and I'll probably be talking to you a little bit later. And
yes. And if you want anything, just so you know, if you want anything that you're going to apply to this
sure.
this coming week, sooner than later, because my head's gonna be halfway to slow.
Yeah,
and I won't be able to, you know what I mean? Like, now I'm dealing with all this other shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I want to maybe I'll put the website on there of like, because you said there's a website where they can find out about conventions, even though it's not that.
yeah, there's the convention ones, and then I don't even know if the one I'm going to is on that one.
Right.
And then there's the one I'm going to. I'll send you. Let me write this down.
Yes, write it down. No, I'll remind you. But then I'll put it under the YouTube video, you know?
Okay, so we have convention, we have this convention. Okay, that'll be easy for me. And then we have, was there something else?
I think that's it. Yeah, just any convention sites you can, you know, you can text them to me, you can email me, whatever. So
Do you put anything of the stuff that I have done or no?
I can't.
Archive video, the archive anime video that I did. Does that help you? I don't know.
We'll see. I'm going to talk to my editor about it because he's the one. But I mean, he loves editing. So, but we'll figure it out and we'll make it look good, and you'll see. You're going to.
Oh, no, I'm not worried about that. I didn't know if you were like saying, and Leah's work is here, and you can
not really. We don't usually. It's more about just talking and learning information, and then links under the video. Okay. Usually that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. You know.
Wonderful.
Anyway, I want to thank you so much for coming on because I know that. You know, you're not Miss Podcast person, so, you know, but you are now, right?
Well, for you, of course I would.
For you, Cookie, anything.
Anything for you. We've known each other way too long to be.
I know, and I can't wait to go visit you up north so I can do some good hiking up there, right?
Please come to the Redwoods. It's so beautiful, and the beach is just lovely. It's a whole different world up here.
And you're thinking about possibly moving to SLO, or you at least want to check it out.
I want both.
Yeah, you want to have the two, your home and the vacation home, right?
Yeah, or just like two homes, because then I get a little bit of both.
Of course, everybody should have two homes. You know?
I know.
Oh, that sounds so first world problem, right?
Yes, that's exactly. God, I have two homes.
I know, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.